once you see this building from the highway, you're like, wow, I worked in that building.
Whatever I'm doing right now will be added to production directly. So it's not something that will be considered to be used by NCR. It's going to go straight to production and it will impact 100,000 lives.
Oh, that students from MIT, उसे better projects दिया जाए. You should. Hey guys, अब तक तो आपको लगता होगा कि software engineering is all about free food, parties, मस्ती, free movies, free card games, मतलब सब कुछ free backpack, tons of free things, even free flights. But that's not actually true, because there is a lot of behind the scenes struggle, challenges that a software engineer faces. So that's why I'm here with the realistic life of a software engineer. And before starting the video, I really want to share कि इतना बड़ा coincidence हो कैसे सकता है. I had the biggest coincidence of my life at NCR. Like that's one of the best. That was my dream tech companies to work here in Atlanta. So like 4 to 5 GSC students वो एक ही school से start करते हैं. They start from the same university and they wanted to become software engineer, and they land in the same company, same building, same floor, or some are even in the same team. Can you imagine that? Well, imagine karo, building has two sides, like north tower, south tower. One tower has 20 floors, other tower has 14 floors, like 34 floors, like four or 5 floors are not used, but one out of 30 probability, मतलब एक floor same कैसे हो सकता है. मतलब आपने देखा ही होगा उस वीडियो में that Harun was on the same floor. We used to attend hackathons together, we used to go to classes together. That was surprising. And before starting with the realistic life of software engineer, I really want to tell you that if you want to become a software engineer, you have to become a better problem solver, because like all the related skills, the सारी skills are derived from problem solving. If you become a better problem solver, you can become a better software engineer. And for you guys to become a better problem solver, you have to practice every day, at least one programming question every day. So that's why I recommend all of you guys to try dailyinterviewpro.com. So this is a platform made by Joakim and Tech Lead, and they used to work at Google, or especially the FANG companies before. FANG stands for Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, etc. So these are the top 10 companies in Silicon Valley. So if you will subscribe to their website, then you will get hand-picked question that was asked in these FANG companies, and they have also conducted a couple of interviews. So if you will subscribe, you will get free question for absolutely free. You will get one question every day, so you should practice every day. So now let's get started with the realistic life. So as a software engineer, I get my requirements from the project manager. So matlab she or he gives me the project requirements. That could be backend UI, anything. मतलब एक app का UI कैसा दिखना चाहिए, how the UI of an app should look like, or how the backend functionality should work. Everything is described in the requirements, and she gets the requirements, or she or he gets the requirements from the customer. Like the customer could be the merchants, like who are using the app. So then once I get the requirements, I go through it and check what it is. The requirements could be anything. It could be a bug, it could be a task, it could be a story. So we usually use Jira, that's the management system. So उससे हमें पता चलता है कि मतलब how you need to approach. They have the step-by-step procedure. If it's a bug, they tell us कि bug कब हुआ था, in which scenario that bug happened. Like, you know, bug could be as simple as I had a 1+1 phone and 1+5 phone. So it had a like surprising bug. So if you tap on the power button 3 times, it calls 911. So that happened with me, with one of my friends. So he was in a bar, he tapped accidentally on power button 3 times, and police came, and he was under 21, and he was caught. So, so you should be careful if you have 1+5. So now getting back to the point, so that was an example of a bug. So they tell us how it can be reproduced. So that's how we go into the bug, and that first step is to reproduce on our own. Like कैसे वो खुद bug, we have to cause the bug and see the log message, like what is causing the bug, and then we have to go to the root cause. And that's why the biggest thing that comes into mind is problem solving and starting from the floor. Like as a software engineer, मतलब school में आपको सिखाते नहीं हैं. In school they do not teach you how to go over a big code, like code with more than 100,000 lines, more than 1 million lines of code. That's a difficult task. That's what I experienced here at NCR. So that's something you should try learning on your own. There are like a couple of platforms I will link in the description below where you can get paid and solve bugs. So you can practice that as well. You can even get paid up to $50 for one bug you solve. So you can try that out. And that is very important to become a software engineer, because the code base the code or the project is so huge, so many lines of code. So that's why it is very important for you guys to know how to break the code into three, that is model, view and controller. So view is the UI, मतलब कैसी app दिखती है, how the app looks. Controller is the logic. Let's say if you make a calculator, controller would be how you do a plus b, how you do the calculation, a plus b, a minus b, etc. And the model will be how you structure the code, how many modules are there, how many folders are there, how you have put every single code and how you're connecting each of these two fragments. So you should know about that. And now the next step, so once we break it down, we program it, like GitHub also comes into play. GitHub is a version control, like you can have separate versions of it. So let's say when you download an app, there are like version written 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. These are the versions. So these numbers like 4.1, 4.2, these are production version, and developer have their own versions before they push into the App Store or Play Store. Before you actually use the app, there are like a lot of things that comes into play. So you have to make your own programmer versions and then they go into production. But before they actually go into production, the code has to be reviewed. Matlab, there should not be any mistake in the code. It should have the same format. Matlab, it should look good. It should be clean. So that's checked by the software engineering manager. So he or she makes sure that it is in the right format and so on. So once software engineering manager or architect, anyone in the higher position checks that your code is good, then your code is tested. मतलब वो app बना के with the new code, then build the app, and you have to tell them, you have to tell little bit about how you change the code, which portion of the code or which portion of the app is actually needed to be tested. So you tell, the developer tells the QA, and sometimes developer also writes UI tests, unit tests, etc. Unit tests are like they test the simple lines of code, and UI tests are they check the UI. मतलब automate करना, मतलब आप app को बता रहे हो, you're telling the app, hey, tap on this button and go to that place. Hey, tap on this button and that will go to that place. You're checking if you tapped on this button, then did the app actually go to the next page or not? Did it go to the correct place or not? So you're testing these by doing some UI tests, unit tests, etc. But it is not possible to do all the things. मतलब आप सब कुछ test नहीं कर सकते. You cannot test everything on your own. So that's why QA comes into play, and then that person tests, and then finally the code goes into production in the next build or so on. So that's my daily life. And behind the scenes, मतलब क्या होता है, like the biggest challenges faced by programmers are debugging. Sometimes it is so confusing to find the root cause of the problem. So what we do is we Google. Stack Overflow also helps because some people have faced the same problem. So मतलब अगर आपको same bug, like usually everyone, like if they read an error message, they just Google the error message and they find the solution. But that's not always the case. You have to go through a documentation. मतलब for example, Android has a great documentation for Android developers. मतलब usually the first thing to look into is documentation, because documentation has the best details. मतलब जो developer जिसने मतलब वो package बनाया, जिसने Android बनाया, उसे ज़्यादा पता होगा कि जिसने use किया. So developers have less knowledge as compared to the maker or the person who wrote the code itself. So that's why we go to the documentation, and then we see what type of problems they face and how they fix it. So both are very important. And if you cannot find the solution in either of those scenarios, you look for similar problem. मतलब किसी ने अगर ऐसी problem face की है, तो आप उस problem को follow करो, like how they fix it, and then you are able to fix your problem in the similar pattern or not. So that's all we do. And a very important thing that I really want to share is about school. That school doesn't play any role once you become a software engineer. मतलब वो ये नहीं कहते, oh, that student's from MIT, उसे better projects दिया जाए, you should be given better projects, more challenging tasks, and so on. No, that's not the case. You are given projects by your choice. Especially in my company, I was told that I can choose my team, my project, and my floor, everything. I can choose pretty much everything. So that's the biggest flexibility that I got. So that means you should not be ambitious to reach the right university, but you should be more ambitious to learn the right skills. And personally, in this era, you can learn everything on Udemy, Udacity, and I learned most of the skills on Udemy, especially from DevSlopes. I love DevSlopes, so you can check him out as well. And other problems we face are like getting the requirements on time, then we have to wait or ask our manager कि मतलब कोई और problem दे दो until and unless we get our requirements back. So like we switch our projects. If we don't have the requirements, we do a different project and so on. And next challenge could be keeping up with the technology. For example, like iOS development, it was first using Objective-C, then they moved to Swift. मतलब जो भी Objective-C जिन लोगों को आती थी, they had to learn a new language that was called Swift. So that's a new challenge. Like it takes time to learn a new language. Like sometimes it takes few weeks, months. It depends on the programmer. So these are a couple of challenges. But otherwise, I think I'm really enjoying my programming life. Not only because it's one of the great team, because I have the best manager, best team, everyone is so welcoming and helpful, but also I'm enjoying my work because Android is my passion, as I told in that video. So that's my day once again. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.